Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. This is the day after the pour, and now we're just laying out some lines where we're going to be saw cutting. That first line I didn't like it because it wasn't parallel with the house, so I just swept it away and then snapped a new one. We're going to be running the Medusa stand up with the here it is here. Real easy to use, and it rolls nice and straight every time. And after we get done saw cutting here, then we're going to start laying the brick. All those form outs you see, those block outs, is a recessed area where the split bricks are going to go in. After we got done saw cutting this, we went about 8-foot squares with the cut pattern. We're going about 1 inch deep. This is a 5-inch deep concrete, 3000 psi with fiber mesh. The thing about that fiber mesh in there, and we're cutting it the very next day, we don't get a lot of chipping or spalling on the cut because the fiber mesh holds it all together. A lot of times when you cut on the next day, you have chunks of concrete flying around, and then you got a really bad edge on your saw cut. But with the fiber, no worries. That diagonal cut you see there, it's lined up with the joint we already had in the apron approach, because since it is a monolithic pour going underneath the bricks, if it did crack on that hand joint we put in there on the apron approach, it would continue across the driveway. So I just lined it up with that and ran an angle over there to change the direction of the crack. Now we'll pressure wash it all down, get all that powder off of there. Here's that horizontal curb cut we did at the street to add this RV access. It was a full height curb till we cut it with the curb machine. Now we're about ready to start setting brick here. We pressure washed all those recessed areas. We pressure washed all the dirt and debris out of there so we can get a good bond for the brick to set on. All the water ran exactly where I wanted it to. Now we came back here a couple days later after the saw cut, and we're going to mix it up. And what I do for this situation, because you're in between the depth of the bed of this for these bricks to set on, is in between thin set and in between mortar. In other words, it's too thick for straight thin set, too thin for straight mortar, so I mixed them together. I mixed the thin set and the mortar together, and it makes a perfect thing for this job. You have the stickiness of the thin set and you have the strength of the mortar, and it goes off really quick. If this was straight thin set at this depth, it wouldn't be real good. And also the thin set takes a long time to dry before you can grout, So when you mix these together, you can go ahead and grout same day, no problem. Don't really need to use a level on this because we've already have established elevations. So all we need is a straight edge to go across the 2 points, and that's the height the brick will be at. Occasionally I'll take a longer board like so and knock the bricks all flat in like a 3-4 foot section at a time. Also, I'll check the edge too. I'll put that straight edge on the edge of brick to get them nice and straight. That hole you see there, that's going to be for a future steel post. New fence is going to be going in there, or new gate I should say. Gate guy couldn't get out here to put the pipes in ahead of time, so we ended up leaving some holes. And those are already dug out 2 feet deep. Now on this grouting here, because these bricks ribbons actually act as a crack control as well. So we're putting an edge on the grout itself. That way when this does decide to crack, it'll crack within the joint. Now if you went with straight mortar over that radius, it's going to crack and it's going to chip out. So if you edge it, you alleviate that problem. No grout failure on this, in other words. And all this brick is setting on the monolithic concrete pour, which is in the previous video. This is actually a 3-part series. This is the final episode. But you can see the other 2 parts how we got here by going back a couple videos. Now here's the drain we put in. This drain exits through the curb face. So we had to put a drain in there because of the way the existing driveway was sloped. And here's a little grinder wheel. It's just a cup diamond grinder that goes on my right angle grinder. First I started with a couple cuts like this. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just chip it out, you know, to get this radius. But then that's when I found my 4-inch cup, and I'm going to grind it right out. It's a 3-inch drain, and this is a 4-inch cupped wheel, diamond wheel. Brick's relatively soft material, so I'm just going to grind a nice perfect circle straight down where the drain's going to come up through. It worked out great, I have to say. I just came up with this on the job site, this little plan, and it did work really nicely. Now because we have 2 slopes here to get to the drain, I'm going to have to make another cut in this brick. As you see there, see that other cut I put in there, so I could twist the brick and get it sloped to the drain. Now on the grout here, this is Avery, by the way, doing this grouting right now. This is his first time he's ever did this, and he's doing it he's doing it good for a first time out. But he did say he had some experience in cake decorating, so that probably helped. In this particular mix here, now I don't have thin set in this. This is just the straight type S mortar. The key to grouting this stuff is it has to be flowable enough to get all the way to the bottom of the brick. If it's too stiff, it won't go down. So also it won't go through the bag either. So you have to have it just the right water content in there to make it flow to the bottom. completely fill it up 100%. Once we edge it, we'll scrape off the excess grout, and then we start sponging. Now these radiuses that we have in here, they're not that tight of a radius, so we didn't have to cut any brick. We just kind of opened up the grout on the one end and squeezed them in on the other, and made this radius real easy. There's a couple spots where the monolithic pour was a little high, so we're just going to chip it out. That happens to be a wood chisel. They do have other chisels, especially for concrete. Now on the ends of these bricks don't do real well against landscaping, especially on the ground, because they're soft material and they take a beating, water damage, and just getting banged around with the exposed edge. So what I like to do is rub up the side of them with some mortar and give it a little more protection on the ends. Now after this was all said and done, as far as the sponging of the bricks go, I ended up going back there a couple days later because I just wanted to see how it was going and if they had the gate up, and I noticed a slight film or residue over the brick still, and that was because the sponging didn't get it all off. So I ended up doing a light acid wash, and what that consisted of was about 5 parts of water to 1 part of acid, muriatic acid, found in the pool section at any hardware. Mixed that up in a bucket, dipped my broom in it, and rubbed it over the brick. Took off that residue. But here's the final picture of this. It turned out beautifully. The drain worked out beautifully. So that drain picks up the existing driveway and then a small portion of the new driveway. Most of the driveway slopes to the planter bed. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can get notified on my next upload. Thank you. Have a good day.